Vasistha continued. To illustrate this, there's an interesting legend. Kindly listen to it. And this is a story which you've probably never heard anything like before. A young boy asked his nanny to tell him a story, and the nanny told him the following story, to which the boy listened with great attention. This must have been some nanny. Once upon a time, in a city which did not exist, there were 3 princes who were brave and happy. Of them, 2 were unborn, and the 3rd was not conceived. Unfortunately, all their relatives died. The princes left their native city to go elsewhere. Very soon they fell into a swoon, unable to bear the heat of the sun. Their feet were burnt by hot sand. The tips of grass pierced them. They reached the shade of 3 trees, of which 2 did not exist, and the 3rd was not even planted. After resting there for some time, and eating the fruits of those trees, they proceeded further. They reached the banks of 3 rivers. Of them 2 were dry, and in the 3rd there was no water. The princes had a refreshing bath and quenched their thirst in them. They then reached a huge city which was about to be built. Entering it, they found 3 palaces of exceeding beauty. Of them 2 had not been built at all, and the 3rd had no walls. They entered the palaces and found 3 golden plates. 2 of them had been broken into 2, and the 3rd had been pulverized. They took hold of the one which had been pulverized. They took 99 minus 100 grams of rice and cooked it. They then invited 3 holy men to be their guests. Of them 2 had no body, and the 3rd had no mouth. After these holy men had eaten the food, the 3 princes partook of the rest of the cooked food. They were greatly pleased. Thus they lived in that city for a long time in peace and joy. My child, this is an extremely beautiful legend. Pray remember this always, and you will grow up into a learned man. O Ram, when the little boy heard this, he was thrilled. What is known as the creation of the world is no more real than this story of the young boy. This world is nothing but pure hallucination. It is nothing more than an idea. In the infinite consciousness, the idea of creation arose, and that is what is. O Ram, this world is nothing more than an idea. All the objects of consciousness in this world are just an idea. Reject the error, dirt of ideation, and be free of ideas, and remain rooted in truth. Attain peace. So the world is nothing but notions, ideas. And this is a great story because it actually illustrates what's going on. And it's interesting, you get caught up in the story, don't you? You get these little jolts. Hang on, this story's about 3 princes that don't exist. Well, most stories are about things which don't exist. Whether you're watching your favourite soap opera or watching a movie, you get caught up in it, and you get emotionally involved in it. And it might be a complete fantasy, it might be some science fiction thing or cartoon fantasy, but you get caught up in it. You know it doesn't exist, but you get caught up in it. And this is how we relate to what we call reality. And you might think you might be beyond that sort of thing, but if you actually start thinking about things, you start looking at things, then as a physicist, as a scientist have done, you find that there's it's not quite what you thought it was. Even if you're looking at a television screen or at a newspaper, well, let's just stick to the television screen. It's just made up of little dots moving across a flat surface. That's what we're getting caught up in. We're constructing the whole image, the whole notion that there's something going on there from that. That's how our senses work as well. Electrical impulses, which we construct the whole sensory experience, and then we create notions around that. It's so far removed from anything that we think of as real when you start looking into it. And yet somehow we put it all together. That same process by which we can get involved in this story here, even though we're being told and within this story that it's impossible, we still get involved in it, even though we're being told how impossible it is. I'm reminded of a dream that I had last night. I dreamt there was this office block, a square office block. It had 4 entrances. Each entrance was quite different. And you could only really, well, you could go in either entrance, but the strange feature of this office block was that it rotated every now and again. Every now and again it would just do this rotation. So the entrance that was facing you would be different. And I thought this was quite a peculiar design feature, but I just accepted it. I just accepted the fact that this huge office block was rotating. And once I was trying to get into this office block and I couldn't find the entrance I was looking for, I was running around looking for it, and I'd forgotten that the office block rotated, and I had to remember to stand still, and the entrance that I wanted would eventually appear in front of me. There's probably some symbolism to this dream, isn't there? But the strange thing is, I took this as normal. I just accepted that this was perfectly okay, just a peculiar design feature. And we're doing this with reality all the time. It's totally bizarre. It doesn't hang together. But we make it hang together, just like we make this story hang together with the non-existent princes, the non-existent trees, the trees that haven't been planted yet, the palaces which haven't been built. We still go along with the story, don't we? Even though some part of us is saying, hang on, wait a minute. But we go along with the story. This is how our mind works. We create some kind of continuity. We create the reality which we want to emotionally engage with. This is how it works with stories. This is how it is. It's how we are, isn't it?